Darth Benzo checking back in. August Reset Episode 22. It is Monday, the 22nd of August, Monday morning. Just got done running a 5K. I have completely gotten back into running. I'm going to start by talking about that for just a second. Before I even start, I just want to say I feel like yesterday was one of the worst videos I made in this August Reset. I feel like I did a very poor job articulating myself, getting my point across. Ironically, that was the whole point of the video, talking about if you don't have energy, you're not really able to create anything worthwhile. Now, thankfully, I have amazing followers, subscribers. I have an amazing audience, and I see a couple of you still found value in that video and ask a couple of questions that I'll be addressing at the end of this video. But like I said, normally I would Monday morning traditionally I would go and hit the gym, but I feel like I'm transitioning right now from weightlifting and dedicating most of my free time on that to running. There's just something about running. It's a drug. It is literally a drug. So I'm gonna tell you the protocol that I use to obtain the best high that you possibly can with running. I do cheat a little bit. I'm not gonna sit there and pretend like it's just me getting out of bed, having a glass of milk, and then just I go for a run and I feel great. I do always manipulate my state. I do use substances to kind of like get the most out of experiences. So the two things that I add to the running to make it an incredible experience. So let me say three things. The first thing I add is nature. Don't go running in traffic. Like when I see people running next to a busy street, I it physically hurts me to see that. I cannot understand how you're willing to open up your pores, open up your lungs, and be taking in exhaust fumes, be running next to speeding cars, like the society's movement and all the excess people and distractions, like little ants, just everywhere. Like I don't get it. Like running should be the opposite. It should be the unison between physical movement, exhaustion, and reaching a higher spiritual state. Like that's what happens when I run, and the only way that I know how to do that is by running in nature. I can't stress this enough. I feel like some of you still think I'm just trying to be, like oh, it's nice to look at the trees. Like no, you don't get it. Running in nature is like playing football on a football field. The two things just go together. Don't run in the gym. Don't get on a stairmeister. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're depriving yourself. Go run in nature. Like I can only say it so many times before it really like gets true to you, because it's one of the three components that I use to get to an insanely high state of just euphoria and I don't know, man. Like it's just something that you have to witness to know what I'm talking about. So first, nature. Second, I always try and run on an empty stomach. So first thing in the morning in a fasted state. Now I am aware that not everybody has the opportunity to do so. So I'm not gonna sit there and act like I'm I'm aware. Like I know, and that luckily enough for me, I am able to do that. Now, even if you're working from Monday to Friday, you still have Saturday morning or Sunday morning, so you can do it at least once a week. Or you can get it before work, but I understand. Not all of us, we're not Navy SEALs out here, so I get it. Anyway, that's what I do though, so first thing in the morning when my energy is at its highest, empty stomach. And then the third thing, and this I would say is the biggest cheat code, I take a caffeine pill. So you can just buy caffeine pills anywhere on the internet. Each pill contains 200 milligrams of caffeine. And you might go and say, like, why not just drink a coffee? Like, okay, so sure, that might work for you. The way I do it, though, is, and let me try to be very meticulous about this, let me break it down. First of all, when you drink a coffee, you never really know. Like, you don't know how much caffeine you're taking in. And maybe I'm a bit of a freak when it comes to these things. I'm a little bit obsessive over those things, a control freak, but I like to measure exactly like how much of a certain substance I'm taking in. Because if I took 200 milligrams on Monday and then on Wednesday I take 180, and then it feels different or I feel sluggish, like it's very hard for me. Like I'm not gonna know whether it was due to the lack of caffeine or if I'm in worse shape, or like I like to control as many factors as I possibly can. So that's a very easy one to control. That's why I like drinking coffee. Don't get me wrong, but if you drink coffee, it's more just like random. If that makes sense, like you're just kind of like you don't really know what you're doing. Like you say, oh, it's a nice cup of coffee. You feel good, but I don't know. Like you don't know how much you took in. So as it pertains to really trying to like maximize your run, I love caffeine pills. They're legal, obviously. It's just caffeine. And what I do is, and this is why I love caffeine pills. When you drink a cup of coffee, it basically just instantly starts working, and you're like, oh. So I'll before I get there, I gotta add one more element before we are ready to actually start talking about the actual run. I add music, obviously. Music is incredibly vital, like for me at least. Like I know exactly in which mood I'm in, depending on which mood. I can draw energy from any genre of music. Like some days I prefer the obvious, aggressive, pump it up music. In that case, hip hop comes in handy, rap, some Rammstein, some Metallica, heavy metal. Other days, I'm more mellow and emotional. I like to listen to the Bodyguard soundtrack by Whitney Houston, which is like it hits me so hard. It's very emotional, very mellow. But when I'm in a more mellow state, that like reinforces that into a perfect storm of mellow energy that then again, in turn, fuels me to run faster. So I start running. I put the playlist on that I created depending on my mood, and I take the caffeine pill right before I start running, right? So what happens is your body needs a good, let's say, at least 5 minutes, before the caffeine pill starts actually, breaking down and starts being inserted into your system. And that's where the empty stomach comes in. If you have an empty stomach, it's gonna hit you hard. So I'm running for 5 minutes, like I'm warmed up, I'm going faster and faster, and your body's already like getting into a state of heightened activity and just sweating, and you're feeling alive, you're breathing, your heart is beating. And then after that 5, 6, 7 minutes, that caffeine hits, you're already running. So it's just it's like imagine a tornado picking up a bonfire. Like two elements just come together. Your body's already going there. You're already running. You're already going. And then the caffeine just takes it to a whole new level. And the best way I can describe it is for at least a good 20 minutes straight, you just you no longer feel your legs. You're just like you're floating. You're just like a machine, like a Terminator, like da 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 da. And the music, all of this comes together, and time just seems to stand still. And before you'll know it, you'll have ran like another 25 minutes before you kind of like start for the first time coming down again a little bit, and you start feeling mortal again. Like when that caffeine hits and when the music is right and I'm in nature, I'm just like, I think if people see me running, they must think like I'm a man possessed. But that's how it feels. It's it's a state of ecstasy that you reach. And then, like you gently kind of like that crazy rush starts wearing down, but it's not like you plummet, obviously not. Like you can still go on for another 25, 30 minutes on a lesser pace. And by the time that you reach your, like I like to run 6 kilometers. That's just for me. I never like to run too long. I'd rather run more often than do these marathon sessions. So I'm not into the whole long distance marathon stuff at all. For me, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, that's a perfect run. That's like ideal. Anything more than that, in my opinion, and for my body, because I'm so muscular and I have so much weight, it puts too much stress on my joints, on my ankles, on everything. Like I'm trying to protect my lower body, obviously. Since half of my quad is gone, half of my entire left lower leg is basically gone, half of it at least. So like I'm trying to preserve it. Um, and that's another side note. Running can also be detrimental to your health if you do it too much. Like it's not healthy to run 15k 15 kilometers every 2 days unless you're like an actual athlete runner. Like it's too much wear and tear on your body. Like your body has to absorb too many impacts. So I wouldn't recommend that. Less is more, and more often is more, instead of just doing these crazy distances. For whatever, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but for whatever reason, people have fallen in love with these long distance runs, and I think it does more harm than good. Anyway, that is, I think, so if you follow that protocol, it may sound silly, it may sound arbitrary, and you might think like, why are you making it so complex? Like, why can't you just like go out and run? And I think that's what most people do, and that's something that if I do that, it's not enough. Like that's fun, that's cool, but I'm not like I don't develop this like addiction to the ceiling like I do now, which in my opinion is a healthy addiction. Especially if you keep the distance relatively low, like 6 kilometers is enough. That's like 4 miles roughly. So I want this feeling. I need this euphoria. Like I'm craving for it like a drug at least twice a week. And because I know how good it is, that's why I want to keep doing it over and over. And I don't need motivation. It's like I'm literally looking at it like I said, like a drug, and it's like an addiction that you're free to give into, which is such an awesome feeling. We already have so many things that we're trying to like push away. Like you don't want to give in to drinking too much alcohol. You don't want to give in to smoking too much weed. You don't want to give in to eating too much shitty food. But then this one, you're allowed to indulge, which that's what I'm trying to create with this, and that's what I successfully have. So if you've never been into running, if you don't get it, try this protocol if you can. I know there's a lot of specifics to it, but try it. Like this is what I employ. Now, on my last video, I had a couple of people asking some questions. Sorry guys for the coughing. I just wanted to address them real quick. Adriana Manning said, I really like your advice about getting some sleep and taking vitamins. I work at Taco Bell like 9 hours a day with no break. I probably sit only for 15 minutes. I work 5 days a week and I'm so exhausted today. My body's screaming for rest. By the way, thank you for your video today and what beautiful place you live. I love how you're so real about life. Well, Adriana Manning, first of all, if you work 9 hours a day in Taco Bell, like you are a goddamn survivor. Like you are a trooper, a champion. You're not taking the easy way out. You're not running away from the grind. You don't feel too good. You don't feel above working gruesome shifts at Taco Bell with only 15 minutes rest. So from the bottom of my heart, like honestly, mad respect. Like that's just insane. I don't even know if I could do that. I would probably lose my mind. So I really respect the hell out of you for doing that. So for me to answer your question, I would just recommend. I always recommend the same thing. It's not like there's a magic pill out there, anything that's gonna like, you know, massively help you, but small bits do make a difference. So I would recommend, first of all, take an omega-3 fish oil supplement. Every single human should use this. So fish oil, aka omega-3, it lowers cholesterol, It actually helps cognitive functions, meaning your brain. It protects against dementia, Alzheimer, all those things. Like it's good for the blood vessels, good for the heart, and good for the brain, good for the skin too. So if you're not taking that yet, please get on that. Take one a day. Also, vitamin D. You should take a vitamin D supplement every 2 days. This is the supplement. This is what you get if you're like getting enough sun, which none of us are unless you're living in a Caribbean country. So vitamin D. My body is screaming for rest. I would just really recommend you to like try to get 8 hours in of sleep in a day. But I can imagine if you're working at Taco Bell 9 hours a day that you want to have some fun in the other hours of your day. And I can imagine that you don't want to feel like you're just sleeping and working. But yeah, you have to get those 8 hours in. Vitamin D, omega-3. If you are looking for some more energy, I use a supplement called maca, which is basically a Peruvian herb. With men, has been shown to increase testosterone. It's a natural supplement. But there's also maca for women. Don't get too dependent on caffeine. Like I know you heard me talk about taking a caffeine pill, but if I take a caffeine pill for the rest of the day, I'm not drinking coffee. I'm not taking any more caffeine. Like that's all the caffeine I need and want for the day. With caffeine, guys, there's a very hard point of diminishing returns. Like 1 cup, 2 cups, sure. I feel like after the third cup, you're already just hitting a wall and going down instead of up, and then you're just wired and you're just in that typical state of like over caffeinated, being present, like oh, like you're just not, you know what that feels like the cold sweats, you're nervous, but you're not energized either. It just feels like you're stuck in your own skin, uncomfortable. That's what happens when you drink too much caffeine. So that's the best I can do, Adriana. And maybe I don't know your situation, but try to figure out a way so you can switch jobs, so you don't have to work 9 hour shifts at Taco Bell. Because yeah, I can't imagine how hard that must be. And then somebody else said, Shinita, hola, what do you recommend for somebody who's depressed? Even if I take medicine and do some walks, still depressed, without power to continue to fight. Man, Chinita, I mean, obviously these are very profound questions where I don't really have like a cookie cutter, like not a cookie cutter, but I don't have like a clear answer to that. Besides the fact that if you're really talking about being depressed for years and medicine like normal medicine doesn't work, honestly, and this is what I would do. Like I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, like, if I was depressed for years, like proper depressed, like I don't see the light, I don't want to live, like I'm just like, everything is bland, I would be ready to try some different things. Like, honestly, I would sign up for like some ayahuasca treatment, DMT. Like, I'll be willing to try that. But before we even get into that, have you tried weed? Like, have you tried a sativa weed, a weed that picks you up? Because sativa weed can help a lot of people with depression. All right, so if you haven't checked that out, it can make a big difference. Like before, I don't want you to jump straight to the ayahuasca and DMT stuff. I mean, I don't know how bad it is, and I don't know really anything about you. So, but if you haven't tried like medicating with sativa weed, then that could definitely help with depression, and that's the best I can do for now. Also, I'm assuming since you said you take medicine, you've tried vitamin D. Vitamin D can also have a very big impact on your overall mood and how you feel. So that's the best I can do. Honestly, guys, like answering questions like this for me, that's not really. I'm not a doctor, all right, and I'm very good like at reading people and feeling people. I have a lot of empathy. I'm very good at picking up on energy, but that doesn't mean that I know what's best for you in a physiological or neurological sense. And again, like I'm just sharing all the stuff that works for me. All right. So I hope you can take bits and pieces from that and try to put it together. Um, One last thing. Man, today is a long ass video, 20 minutes already. One last thing before I go. So yesterday I was having a day. Spent most of the day by myself, and I went to the water. I like to go near the water. There's just something about a a big body of water that does something with you. I don't know what it is. I'm always drawn to it. That's why I always say like cities that are located next to a sea or an ocean, like nothing can top that. I always used to debate about Barcelona against Madrid. People love to have that debate in Spain, and some actually think Madrid is better. And I'm just like, how can you even compare? Like, one city is literally in the middle of a country, and the other one is next to an actual a sea or an ocean. Nah, I'm so stupid with these geographical things. I guess it's a sea because it's like encapsulated. Well, anyway, next to a big big body of water. Um, how can you even beat like that's you can't even compare. That's so unfair to Madrid to even try to make that comparison. Like you have the city life and then you have the ability to go to the beach and just like be at this crazy open space with all this open air and nothing clogging it or blocking it or stopping it. Like the air is coming straight from the ocean. Like it doesn't get more pure to that. So anyway, going off of the tangent here. Yesterday, I was basically sitting there and I was thinking like my mind basically never stops working. Like people ask me how are you able to talk so well and just like make content. This is gonna sound a little bit spooky, but I literally have voices in my head all the time. Not in a sense that there's a voice talking to me like do this, do that, or like just like I constantly me talking on video is literally just like I'm basically pressing a button, like I'm placing an aux cord between the screen in my head and just like my voice box, and it's just like I bypass even my conscious state and just like boop boop. All right, go ahead, brain, boom. I can talk. I can literally keep going because I'm constantly having thoughts. And I was sitting there thinking like, man, I wish sometimes like this stream would shut up. Like sometimes I feel like it's driving me crazy and it's hard for me to stop thinking and to constantly stop analyzing. But then that's when it hit me when I said that, analyzing, like I was basically cursing it, but then I understood, and this is something that Valdemar talked about in the previous video. Everything, there's two sides to every coin. So it's like, yeah, sometimes it gets heavy dealing with this constant voice in my head and this constant stream of ideas and thoughts and analysis. But that's what allows me to read people. That's what allows me to make content. That's what allows me to be a philosopher, to build on thoughts, to build on ideas, to figure out who I am, what my purpose is, to figure other people out. So it's like, it's my biggest gift and my biggest curse at the same time. So me asking for it to go away, I would also lose the ability to be creative, to write, to record, to do all of these things because that's where it comes from. That's why I'm able to, when I meet a person, I'm like, oh, I've met you before. I literally have met a person. Just like it's easy for me. It's like I have an algorithm in my head. If a person says X, Y, Z, of course, like it takes some time, but still, with some people it's really easy. Like they're just exactly the same. It's spooky, and it's so interesting from a psychological point of view, how you can, and forgive me for a lack of a more respectful term, but how you can just box in people, like if they say they like this music, they like these movies, they're from there. Then you see the way they dress. It's like, pop, 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 pop. I've met you. Like I've literally spent time with someone just like you, like a year ago. So I already kind of know where this is gonna go. And I know this sounds extremely. This probably sounds like fucking like I'm a psycho or some stuff. I don't really care at this point. So if you're still watching, we're damn near 25 minutes in. You should already know I'm probably a little bit crazy, so it's all good. We can keep it between you and me. But that's really what happens. And I'm not gonna say it's 100% like accurate all the time, but It damn sure is most of the time. Like it's not always like that, but definitely more than enough for me to know to count on it. Um, and yeah, sometimes it's like I want to turn off that machine, but it doesn't work like that. You have been given this tool, this power, and now you just gotta deal with it, right? That's I guess that was the point I was trying to make. Okay, I think it's about time that we wrap this one up. A lot of thoughts today, a lot of stuff, a lot of content. If you really like love the essence of my channel and me and how I look at life, I think this one will be a gem for you. Me getting into my Darth Benzo Sith Lord bag. Yeah, man. I'm almost finishing my fourth Star Wars book. It's a trip. They're great. They're really good. If you're looking for any type of like enjoyable literature to get into, check out the Star Wars Legends book. Comment below and I'll tell you exactly which ones to read in what order. Like they're that good, and they teach you so much about life and philosophy and people and energy as a whole. Like it's just like it's gems wrapped in a candy coating of science fiction, but it's so much stuff that's applicable to real life. Um, all right, guys, that's the video for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon. Have a beautiful day. Peace.